I am Dr. Janelle Simpson, the program manager for the Office of Student Engagement and Leadership. Today on this call, we have various members from our office who I'm sure will be introducing themselves shortly. The facilitators for today is Miss Foster and Miss Wilson, and I will be assisting them as well as Miss Robinson, and I'm sure Miss McIntosh also. So take the lead, Miss Foster.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our virtual nuts and bolts presentation. We're going to go over a few things that are essential to club operations for everyone who's unfamiliar. So, the first slide, greetings from the OSEL team. And this slide introduces our staff, Ms. McIntosh, who's the program director of the Office of Student Engagement and Leadership, Dr. Janelle Simpson, who's the program manager, Mr. Marcus Binion is our staff graphic designer. Ms. Shamika Robinson is the administrative assistant office manager. And Ms. Kim Wilson and I are both student engagement assistants.
And also, before we proceed, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we'll answer as we go.
To them later. All right, so OSEL liaisons. Ms. Wilson and I are serving as liaisons for the clubs and organizations this semester. And the slide that you all see shows the clubs that are assigned to each of us. So if your club or organization is listed under my name, Ms. Wilson's name, we're your contact person. We're your first point of contact in OSEL. And so if you have any questions about anything regarding club operations, or even if you have issues that are non club related, they're academic related, or you have personal issues, you can feel free to contact us and use us as a starting point to get some assistance. All right, so the role of the OSEL liaison, I briefly touched on it, but we serve as your primary point of contact for club policies and procedures. We also contact club officers biweekly to check in to make sure that everything is working well and that you don't have any issues or problems that we can address. And we'll be contacting you both by email as well as possibly by phone. We may schedule Zoom meetings as well. We also assist with completion of forms. There are various forms that are needed for promoting club events and activities. And if you need assistance with filling out those forms, then we can definitely assist you, and we can answer any questions that you have regarding the operations of the clubs and organization. So there are several expectations as a student leader and a club officer that we expect from you in OSEL. All executive officers must maintain a GPA of at least 2.0. Each registered club and organization must participate in the club fair and engage with other clubs and PGCC students or prospective club members. All clubs and organizations must actively facilitate and promote events. They must maintain communication with your advisor. You must attend any required trainings and meetings. You also must conduct 2 community service events each semester, and you should notify OSEL of any issues with your club or organization as soon as they arise. And the sooner that you notify us, the more likely it is we can help you in a timely manner. So recruiting members, this may be one of the more difficult aspects of running a student club organization, especially considering the virtual environment that we're currently working from. Recruiting new members, although it's difficult, is essential to running your organization. So there are several ways you can recruit new members. One, you can utilize your personal contacts, any friends, classmates that you have that you associate with, invite them to join in on club events. You can participate in OSEL's club fair, and that will spread more information about your club and organization to those in attendance. You can post informational flyers and promote events on social media. So if your organization has a student social media account, you can use that. We will also assist with promotions. If you send it to your club liaison, we'll make sure that it gets posted on the PGCC Student Life Instagram account and also on Twitter. We can host virtual interest meetings. So you can schedule a meeting and invite people who may be looking for information about your organization so that they can join. You can have a membership, bring a friend event. You can have encourage your members to bring friends or any other interested parties to club meetings, other students. You can also provide incentives such as tokens, appreciations, or giveaways at some of your events. And those can be several things, and we can discuss those later on when we talk about the budgeting and funding things. But some things that have been used in the past are as giveaways are virtual gift cards and other things that we can make use of in a virtual environment. So this section, we're going to discuss club events. So throughout the semester, your club can host several events for student engagement purposes. They can have different purposes. They can be tied to the themes of your club. You can also work with other clubs to sponsor events. That if, for example, you can join up with another club that has a similar interest or interest is related to yours, and you can put on an event, and that helps you sometimes maximize your funding. It also helps maximize exposure. So whenever you come up with the idea for an event, we need you to submit an event approval form, and there's a screenshot of it listed on the slide. This form can be found on the OSEL MyPGCC portal, and it's there for download, and you can fill it. I actually believe it's a fillable PDF, or you can download it and email it, scan it, email it. But you must submit this form prior to the scheduling of any event. And for this semester, especially in the virtual environment, this also includes club meetings. So if you have a weekly club meeting, we ask that you submit an event approval form and list the date. You can use one form for the whole semester, and you submit that form so we know when we have a record of your club activities. But for other events, we need you to submit this form, and it basically gives general information about the event and what's needed for the event and how your club's plans to support, and also if there's anything that we need to assist with, but we can support with. Excuse me, y'all, I'm having an allergy attack right now. Okay. So virtual event planning checklist. So there are several things you need to do when planning an event to make sure that each of these items are checked off of your list. And if you need any assistance with this, your liaison can definitely assist you. So the first checklist item is know the needs of your population. So your club membership is going to determine the types of events that are going to be more successful for you. So you can decide the activities that are useful to your audience and how they will best fit the virtual environment. And I know that planning virtual events has a little bit of a difficulty level, but it definitely can work, and you can definitely get membership and attendance. You can brainstorm possible ideas, decide the best ways to present the information to your audience. So that means you can determine the format that you need. If you need to schedule it via Zoom, if you think that's the best fit for your event, then you can work with that. If you want to use outside services, we make use of Flipgrid and OSEL. We also use Kahoot and other virtual and online services to support. So if you have any outside if you have any outside services that you would like to use, you can definitely make that suggestion in the planning. You can plan your event, set whatever goals you'd like to accomplish, create a timeline to follow and stick to it. So you need to have a timeline for every event. Every item leading up to your event, you should have a deadline set for the completion to support the event up until the event is set to happen. And you should also create a budget. So if you need items for your event, you need to, first of all, you need to see if you have budget allocated, and well, if you have enough money in your budget for this event, then you also need to research items that are needed and see if they fall within your budget. And Ms. Robinson can definitely assist you with any budget items or questions that you have. Our fourth thing is make arrangements for your event, set a date and time, discuss your event with your advisor and your liaison, and obtain their approval. Complete an event proposal form, which is the form we discussed previously, and submit to Dr. Simpson for approval. You can then assign responsibilities to your staff. That can be your student leader staff, your club officers. It can also be members. You can delegate tasks to each person to help complete the goal of the event. And then you follow up with Ms. Robinson for any budget questions. The next step is you would publicize your event you can create a flyer that you can post on social media, and you can also post it. Well, you can also, I'm losing my thoughts. About to say, okay. You can also share it via word of mouth. If you have any other ways that you know how to publicize it, you can definitely share your event. And after all these items have been approved, you may then advertise your event.
Before we continue, are there any questions on what was discussed so far? And you can unmute yourself if you need to talk. Everybody's good to go? Okay.
Sorry, is there like a public, sorry about the noise, the background noise.
It's okay.
Public guideline on the creation of flyers? Because every single time we've tried to create flyers, there's like always been some problem or the other. So like, is there
A difficult, yeah. So there are guidelines for the flyers. I'm actually going to touch on that in the next segment of this presentation. But also, if you have any questions in the future, you can definitely contact your liaison for assistance. But there are guidelines, and usually what we ask is, and you'll see it in the following slides, is that we ask that you submit a flyer using the templates that are available. They already contain the PGCC logo elements, and you can just drop your content into those templates. And there's an example of one posted in the next few slides.
What club are you referring to?
I'm referring to a new club, OCAD.
So we had a discussion with them in regards to the flyer. So the issue was the information that was on the flyer. It wasn't necessarily the actual design. So it was some challenges because being a new club, of course, all weren't aware of the different dynamics of what needs to be on the flyer. But I think me, Victoria, and I forgot who else was on the Zoom yesterday. Ms. Robinson, do you remember?
I believe it was Leonard or Leonardo. Is that his name?
I think so. I'm not sure, but we discussed some of the content things. But Miss Foster will talk about it in the next slide. And then if you have a particular question, we can go over that again as well, because we want to make sure we answer it in advance. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this is a continuation of the event planning checklist. So you publicize your event. Be sure to include the date, the time, and the title of your event when you publicize your event. Also include any sponsors, or, you know, if, for example, as I mentioned, you can co-sponsor an event with a club. So make sure you list both clubs on your event flyer. And you can then post your flyers on your social media page. And again, as I said, you can also get help with promotions through the PGCC Student Life and OCEL for social media accounts. On the day of the events, please arrive early to the virtual platform and make sure, a lot of times, depending on the platform, you may need to have maybe 24 hours ahead of time to make sure everything is in place. Please make sure that the club and organization members have their cameras on when you are hosting the event, and this creates a welcoming environment for attendees. And then after the event is over, evaluate the event, create a system to determine if your goals were met, also accept suggestions via questionnaire, verbal feedback, your own observations, and focus groups. And we also have a form for event reflection list that you can use as a guideline. That's also on the portal. Okay, event evaluations. Once your event is completed, it's very important to collect data from your attendees and your organization members to determine the success of your event. This information will help your group identify areas for improvement, as well as help in planning events in the future. So you want to take the feedback that you get from each event and use it to plan events in the future. You can determine what went well, whether your platform was successful, whether it was a good fit for your event, and whether you want to maybe switch it up or change to another format or way of presenting your event. Questions you may want to consider for your evaluation include: what did you enjoy most about the program? What improvements would you suggest? How did you hear about the event? Why did you choose to attend this event? Are you glad you attended this event? Why or why not? Would you like to get involved in our organization? If so, please list your contact information and feel free to suggest future programs. And all of those things, that type of feedback is actually very helpful. It's feedback that we also use when we promote and put on OCEL sponsored events to determine the best needs of our community and how we can serve you best. So marketing your events. when you're advertising your event, all flyers must be approved by the Office of Student Engagement and Leadership. And this is very, very important. In addition to the fact that we have guidelines that are set in place by the college as to how event marketing is used and promoted, as well as logo elements for the college. We also have to make sure that the content is approved for college-wide distribution. So it's very important. You cannot post any flyers until they have been approved by the approval team. You must receive your approval by email, and you can email your flyers to Dr. Simpson and Ms. McIntosh. You send them to both of them. And it's also just for a good habit, you can copy your liaison so that we stay in the loop as well. You should allow 4 to 5 days for approval. We suggest submitting your flyer at least 2 weeks